Hi, welcome to my preview for FPL Game Week 13. And sorry for the sound quality, it will get better over time. So, Game Week 12, the pictures are coming thick and fast right now. Game Week 12 was sort of a mixed bag. There was a very dull Manchester derby that angered owners of Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne. Mo Salah got very lucky with a penalty against Fulham when it looked like Liverpool were going to lose in a similar way to that 3-0 defeat at Watford in Project Restart. Looking at what else happened, Arsenal again lost at home without scoring. They seem to be in crisis at the moment, and FPL wise, it was good to see Aubameyang finally score, albeit in his own net. As Burnley got the surprise win. Well, is it a surprise? I don't know anymore. Leicester beat Brighton convincingly 3-0, pleasing the owners of James Justin, who got a clean sheet and an assist, and Jamie Vardy to punish those who sold him, like me. Southampton were very convincing. Sheffield United, it was one of the most nailed-on clean sheets you will ever see. I was going to say I've never seen a team make less of an attempt to score a goal, but of course the night before it was Man United 0 versus Man City 0. All bad performances, you could say. Leeds kicked off the weekend losing to West Ham. Aston Villa got a very, very late victory over Wolves. That was destined to be 0-0 as well. And Chelsea, fairly surprisingly, lost 1-0 away to Everton. Everton had a great start, of course, but had lost their way recently, just as Chelsea were starting to find theirs. So when Dominic Calvert-Lewin was fouled and Gylfi Sigurdsson scored the penalty, that was it. That was it. A clean sheet for Everton. As for my team, well, it rose an incredible 414 places. And the 4-point hit to remove Vardy and essentially bring in Salah, it didn't work, of course. It didn't work this week. Didn't really expect it to. But going forward, over time, I believe that 3-5-2 with that midfield is the way to go. Vardy was probably never going to be captained, whereas those big hitters in midfield will be. So yes, removing Vardy and Basuma for Salah and Brewster didn't really work out. Yeah, Ryan Brewster, he still doesn't start. He's at Sheffield United, the worst team in the league, actually the worst start in Premier League history. They've only scored 5 goals. They played 2 strikers. When Ollie McBurney got injured on Sunday, did Brewster come on? No, McGoldrick came on first. And Brewster eventually came on for veteran Billy Sharp, but it doesn't look good. Those managers who have him expect at least the two appearance points, and he's not even getting that these days. And the rest of the team was okay. There was lots of 5s and 6s, so it felt like a really bad week. But because of James Justin, it was incredibly somehow a rise. Although let's be honest, it's not. It's exactly the same, really. And well, normally right now is where I would do the biggest transfers in, biggest transfers out for the week. But that with such a small gap between the game weeks, there's not really a lot to say. Although Diego Jota has lost a lot of owners because of his injury. Jurgen Klopp says he'll be out for around 6 to 8 weeks, which is devastating for a man who has picked up a lot of ownership in recent weeks, and now it's going to reverse even quicker. So the Christmas fixture pile-up hype means that there's FPL rotation hype, as if Guardiola needs an excuse, right? And this year, it's worth looking at again because these are athletes who never truly have a free midweek. Even if there's a whole 7 days between matches, they will on that Tuesday or Wednesday they'll be training for a few hours, or they'll be playing a European match or a cup match, either playing in it or being rested on the bench but actually they still have to fly out there, and it's tiring. And what's going to happen here is teams will probably use their professional world-class coaches to navigate a way to keep players fit during their matches that are probably at a slower pace, but also against a team that's tired. Ultimately, as we saw last year, not that many players were victims of rotation in the end because they're all in this together. But if we look at this visual layout of the fixtures, you'll see first of all that 6 Premier League teams have an extra fifth match because of the Carabao Cup quarter-finals, and that means that does add a complication to it because they all want to win that trophy. They're not necessarily going to play their kids, so yeah, if you own players from Arsenal, Everton, either of the Manchester sides, Newcastle or Tottenham, then yeah, there's going to be a fear of that. I've put at the bottom of the table the teams who have it quite good and the teams who have it particularly bad. So if you own Fernandez, Calvert-Lewin, even Son and Kane, this might be the one time Mourinho rests part of the phenomenal duo. There are a few assets there who might be at risk, even if they are pivotal to their side. And good fixtures, it's not that many. I picked sides who don't have a 2-day gap. Most of the Premier League sides, as you can see, have a Boxing Day match and then a game 2 days later. There's a few teams who don't have a 2-day gap. It's 3, and of course that's brilliant. That shouldn't be a problem for the likes of Southampton, Fulham, Sheffield United, and hey, sorry to say this, Jurgen Klopp, but Liverpool have it all right. So yeah, it could happen. It's something to bear in mind. It's always worth promoting having squad depth and bench players who can step in because this is the time of year for them. But at the same time, let's not avoid players because of the fear of rotation because often it doesn't really happen. Gameweek 13, the pick of the fixtures are probably Man City at home to West Brom and Man United's trip to Sheffield United, who, as said earlier, are a really bad team. Those two teams should cover captaincy in most cases. The real problem is for managers who have both of them, have both De Bruyne and Fernandez. It's not obvious which one is better than the other. Elsewhere, Arsenal at home to Southampton, all of a sudden, as a Southampton defensive owner, you'd be quite confident of a clean sheet because Arsenal have lost at home without scoring to Burnley, to Villa, and to Leicester. They've only scored 2 goals in their last 8 league games. It's horrific. By the way, it's nice to have simultaneous matches again because of COVID and lack of fans in stadiums. Each game week is being dragged out over 4 days, matches one by one, and it's awful. It's torture. Bring back the days when you could have a Saturday 3 o'clock, get 5 games out of the way, and just not prolong the misery as much. As for my team, I do have Fernandez and De Bruyne, so the first big decision is who to captain there. Currently on De Bruyne, but we'll see. We'll see if there's any hint of rotation for either of them. Captain the other. And for me, I can finally do some defensive transfers. You can see their target, Justin Cody. It's been horrific, and the 2 defenders on the bench are Mitchell and Dunn. They don't even play. I've had a few weeks recently with only 10 men because the defense is so bad. It has no depth, no quality. It doesn't have any Chelsea in there. So now that the midfield is perfect, got 2 good strikers there. It's only really missing out on Kane and Vardy. The next few transfers can hopefully fix that defence. But the problem is Chelsea's games aren't that great. Ruben Diaz, there's always the Sod's Law effect of he will be rotated as soon as I buy him. But please feel free to like, subscribe, retweet, spread the word. I aim to be back before the weekend for a Game Week 14 preview. Thank you for watching.